Hi and welcome back to another AnyRPG Development Livestream. In these videos I livestream the development of the AnyRPG Engine, a 100% free and open source role-playing game engine designed in Unity and written in C#. These videos are unscripted and give you a chance to take a behind-the-scenes look at the unfiltered, methodical side of software development. For more information on AnyRPG, be sure to check out AnyRPG.org, where you can find documentation on the engine, links to the full source code at the official GitHub repository, and downloads of AnyRPG Alpha, a free game designed to showcase the features of the AnyRPG engine. If you'd like to see more of this type of content in the future, be sure to like the videos, subscribe to the Cohesion YouTube channel, or just leave a message in the comments telling me what you would like to see. In today's video, we will be continuing our work on the creation of a Unity package. So we've almost got it complete, and now I'm going to be basically just doing a bunch of cleanup. There's some references to some of the third-party prefabs. So we're just going to be changing those to references to stuff that we own. And I believe one of the first things that I needed to change was, I think, a couple of the holdable objects, because I'm pretty sure that my example ham here, no, interesting, example edible ham, we had, okay, there we go. Yeah, let's get rid of the icon for the staff. We actually don't need icons in the holdable objects. We're not using them at all, so I'm just going to clear out all those. Okay, so that's good. Somewhere I know we had a reference to a ham, so let's see, maybe one of our foods, sample meat icon, sample fish icon, sample food icon. Okay, maybe it was one of the recipes. So let's check that. No, example cooked ham looks fine. Let's just take a look at our scene there. We've got our example load game manager, example default scene, example cut scene, example combat scene, and then we'll grab the main menu and choose select dependencies. And then we want to try to find, I think YouTube is having some issues right now. Yeah, okay, hopefully the stream is going okay. I had trouble starting it for a while because the YouTube studio wasn't loading. Okay, anyway, back to here. Take all these objects and we want to right click on them and choose export package, and then uncheck include dependencies when we have the chance. And let's see. So all these third-party assets, we have Sunsworn and Undead factions still, apparently. So somewhere in one of these scenes basically is a unit that still has the old factions. So let's look at our units in the example directory and just double check that. Oh, that's interesting. We've got a missing script. Example UMA non-animated player unit. I honestly, non-UMA this, yeah, player unit has the AnyRPG Energy portal. Oh, you know what this is? Very likely, yeah, okay, I know what the missing script is. The missing script is the AnyRPG character controller, I think. Yeah, that was what it was. Okay. But if this is an example unit, we don't want the energy portal here. We just want like a blue sphere here. So let's grab the blue sphere, drag it in here, delete the energy portal, and I think we'll want to put him 1 on the Y. Yeah, that looks good. So now we have a floating blue sphere. And then let's just make sure the unit frame target will be AnyRPG blue sphere 1 meter. Same with the player preview target. And the rest of the stuff looks okay. Ignore raycast is fine. Spell effects is good for that. Okay, and then let's look through our AI units here and just make sure I guess, we can call him like example AI quest giver just to stick with the way we were doing everything else. Is this a UMA unit or not? Yes, this is an UMA unit, so his unit frame target should be his head, and the position offset should be 0.66. I guess we can make the player preview target the head too. And he has the old animation controller. Now, this is where I think I want to actually go in and add some stuff. I want this basically to be defaulted. I don't want to have to go in and set it on all the units, and I want it to be an option in the system options. So what's going to happen here is if I start the game, it's probably going to just crash. So we want animator controller, and I'm going to go into the character animator script, and I'm just going to grab that animator controller thing, and I'm going to move it into the, well, not move it, I mean like copy it basically into the system options manager. So we have our, where is it here, animator controller, and while we're in here, why don't we just change that to match sort of how we're doing everything in our other scripts. So we'll add a property for that. And then we'll copy that right there, and we'll go into the system configuration manager in our game manager. As soon as we're done compiling anyway. All right, there. And let's see where this is going to be best. System abilities, interactable configuration, system bar, character panel, game configuration. It's more like a player configuration, which almost No, you know what? This is default for all units. I think character configuration is good. So we'll make a heading called character configuration, and we'll add that. Okay. And I think what I would like to do is, let's see, we'll just let that show up here. And I actually want to do some work with our character controllers here. So basically, let's see, in the engine, actually, you know what? No, it's fine. All of our character controllers can be that one. So what we'll do here is this will be the AnyRPG character animation controller, and that will be the default for everything. And then we can basically make this thing default in the other scripts if it's not there. So what we want to do is go, let's just fix the formatting there. Okay. There, so the character animator right here, if the animator controller is null, so we want to go into the awake method here and basically go if animator controller equals null, then animator controller equals right, if system configuration manager.myInstance does not equal null, then our animator controller equals our system configuration manager.myInstance.my I didn't make a property for that yet. That's why. So animator controller, and actually this is going to be default animator controller, and quick actions and refactoring, make a property for that, and then go down and rename it to match our naming scheme. Okay, that's better. I'm going to need to reset that now because I just changed the name on that. And reapply that to the game manager. Okay, better. Now we can go back to the character animator here, and now we'll actually be able to access that. My default animator controller. Okay, good. So basically, I want to test this, and the way I want to do that is I want to go in and just remove the character animator controller from like everything, pretty much. Yeah, so that's good. Now let's go look at all the AI guys. Okay, they don't all have it, so I guess we will have to do it one at a time. And actually that's good because we have to look through all these guys anyway and make sure, figure out who's still accessing, or I mean referencing the old Sunsworn. So this is an example AI skill trainer. His unit frame target will be the head. This will be 0.66. Player preview target is head. Okay, so we want example human unarmed attacks, and we're just going to set that to no animator controller because we want to just pick up the default. And this is example AI. Oh, you know what? No, that's the interaction panel. That's fine. Okay, that looks good. And then let's go up and check on our vendor here. So the character name is example AI vendor. Unit frame target is head, 0.66. Player preview target also head. We'll never actually use the player preview target because, oh, you know what? Yeah, we might. Okay. Example human unarmed attacks. Yeah, that's what we want. And remove the animation controllers. And same thing here. We're just going to remove them everywhere because I want them all to be pulled out of the system. This one we don't even need either. This one is automatically set. Okay, good. And actually, I'm just going to rename him to example AI vendor. Rename this guy to example AI skill trainer. Rename this guy to example AI quest. Oh, we have two example AI quest givers. All right, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. You know what? In fact, this right here. Why am I bothering to set that on everybody? That looks like also a perfect candidate for the system configuration manager. So let's do that as well. Default attack animation profile. Right. This doesn't need to be private. Protected is probably better because we may want access to that. Okay, so default attack animation profile goes into the system configuration manager under character configuration. Yeah. And yeah, we don't inherit anything from this system configuration manager, so it can stay private. And then we need to give it a property so we can access it. Change the name to match what we expect it to be, and then go down and basically do the exact same thing right here. So if default attack animation profile equals null. And actually what we can do is, because both of these basically rely on the system configuration manager, then that whole block of code right here can go inside it, and that way we only have to make that comparison once. And then if the default attack animation profile equals null, then the default attack animation profile equals the system configuration manager.myInstance.my default attack animation profile. Okay, good. So now we don't have to go around setting that on every single one of our units. So let's now go back into Unity, and we'll wait for it to compile, and then we'll go into our game manager, and we will set that to example human unarmed attacks. Awesome. And now that's a lot better. because that's now our default, and we don't have to go set that on all the units. So just to make things nice and easy, let's see, this guy is a non-animated, which means he will not have a character animator. Yeah, okay, good. And now let's go into all our AI units. Set that to none. Set that to none. And that one to none. And he can be example AI quest giver. And then let's, wow, look down this list. Right, this is the one that I gave like all the items to. Let's just take a look at this quest giver right here, because I have a feeling basically we can just delete him. He's kind of useless. He's not really doing anything for us. And he doesn't have any quests. And we have a better one here anyway that has like basically every quest in the game, pretty much. Okay, and we can just delete that. I remember this is, we actually added some protection for that last time. And we're just going to set his controller there to none, because we want to be picking this stuff up through the system configuration manager. Okay, so going down the list, just make sure, yeah, we can remove that. And down to our vendor, we can remove those as well. Looking at our bunny, everything looks okay. We can just remove those. And we can remove that controller right here. And then I just want to go in and look at his prefab here. Nope, we don't have the bunny here. Huh. Oh, you know what? It's probably the cute fluffy bunny that's still referencing something. Okay, that's all good. We've got example everything there. We can remove these from our example apprentice craftsman. And remove that from the animator. And these all look good. They're all example versions of everything. Okay, and then our cute fluffy bunny unit. There we go. Okay, so our cute fluffy bunny unit, let's just go down from the top and see. Basically, he doesn't have an attack animation profile because he never attacks. And he's still using the old animation controller, so we need to blank that out. And I think that's okay. Now let's just open up his prefab. Yeah, no references to the bunnies. Okay. So then our example Earthborn Troll we can look at. We need to change that to example Earthborn Troll and example elementals. And then remove references to the animators. Okay, and that looks pretty good. And then we can check out our example Fish-a-lot here. And remove any references to anything in here. Okay, that looks good. And then our example Goblin Necromancer. We need to remove his animator stuff too. You know what? I'm just going to select all these guys at once. Do all these guys have character animators? No. Let's, what's one that's not going to? Okay, let's just keep on going down until we lose the character animator component. Oh, yeah, it's too hard to tell. Okay, whatever. I'll just keep doing this one at a time for now. Okay, then we look at our Goblin Ranger. Set that to none. And set that to none. Everything else looks okay. Our example Guardian of Souls. Everything in there is examples. Example Knight of the Cheddar Table. Need to remove his as well. And then those can get set by the System Configuration Manager. And then those are set to none. If I do page up, does that work? Yeah. What if I do home? No. How about control home? Yeah, control home. Okay. Okay, and we need to remove that. Example Mix-a-Lot. And example Rock Golem. That looks okay. Example Sir Invincible. And I think everything is here is all examples. And let's see, control home, enter. And I think that's wrong. That's supposed to be 0.66. Those were set like that, I think, because like the head bone was like backwards and upside down on the original Paladin unit those were based off of, I think. And just going through and making sure everything else says example, so that's good. An example skeleton soldier. Control home enter. Set that to none. Skeleton warrior. Set that. Oh. Back to the skeleton warrior. Set that to none. Character animation profile. Control home enter to set that to none. All this stuff looks okay. Example stuff. Okay. Example sneak a lot here. We need to change that because he's now an UMA unit, at least the example version of him is. And control home enter on that one. And this all looks okay, it's all example stuff. Everything else down here is example stuff. Good. And example squeak a lot. That looks okay. We got to get rid of these because these are now in the system configuration manager. Example UMA skill trainer. We can get rid of those. Control home enter to set that. Everything else down here is examples, so that's good. Example UMA vendor, set that to none. Set the character animation profile to none. And we have a whole pile of example stuff down here. Gonna set that to none as well because that can get automatically set. Alright, and that all looks good. Let's check out our zombie. We want to remove that from him. And everything else. Let's just open up those prerequisites, make sure nothing's hiding in there. Control home enter to set that to none. Set this one to none as well. He's an UMA unit, so he's got his head bone facing forward, so we do 0.66 on the z-axis. Alright, and character name, example non-UMA AI. And set that to none. Control home enter for that. Control home enter for that. And that looks okay. Now let's just take a look at this guy. Our non-UMA AI unit, what we can do basically is grab our blue sphere, pop it in there, set it at a Y position of 1 meter, should be okay. If he's non-UMA, we should actually, let's actually unpack that prefab completely, and then the character animation event receiver will need to go on there. And since he is non-UMA, just make sure he doesn't have a dynamic character avatar on there. The animator would also go up on that. Why doesn't it want to? Do we already have an animator on here? Okay. Can I add an animator on here manually? Yep, okay. Interesting. Don't know why it wouldn't let me drag that up there. Remove that component. I think the rest of this is probably okay. I mean, this is just like an example. So I don't see any references to any of those things that we were still finding when we did our dependency check. So let's see, example non-UMA AI quest giver. This is example non-UMA AI quest giver. Set those to none. Control home enter to set that to none. Okay, we need to remove that because that's set by the system configuration manager now. And let's actually just open up that prefab. And what we'll do is we'll add the blue sphere to him as well. Set it to a position of 1, unpack the prefab completely, add an animator component to it, and a character animation event receiver, and then go back down here and just make sure we don't have any of those components down here, so that's fine. And then go back to our AI units. I'm just going to call, him example non-UMA AI unit. And this one is example non-UMA AI quest giver. And let's just check this guy. This is an example. This is an UMA AI skill trainer. So let's call him, example UMA AI skill trainer. And since he's UMA, his target will be head, offset of 0.66. We're gonna blank those out, control home enter, control home enter, human unarmed attacks, and let's see, he doesn't have any skills, but oh well, whatever. Actually, and we're just going to remove the quest giver component from him as well, because he's just an example of a skill trainer. So that looks okay. And then we'll rename him to example UMA AI skill trainer. And then let's look at this UMA AI unit here. And it's just like an UMA AI unit. Example UMA AI unit. His unit frame target will be head. 0.66 on those ones. Human unarmed attacks gets set to none. Control home enter to set that to none. control home enter to set that to none, and that all looks okay. So now we've hopefully removed all references to the old character controller, but I still feel like we're having some issues here where we're referencing some other things. I want to go take a look at this example cutscene here. This should be renamed to example cutscene animation. Call this example main camera. Then I want to go into the example cutscene and look at this example cutscene camera. And the controller is the wrong one. And if we go into the Birch Grove cutscene animation, so what we actually want is the example cutscene animation there. And that's better. So now when I look at this, I shouldn't be referring to anything in Birch Grove anymore, hopefully. Let's look at these example Q Fluffy Bunny units. Yeah, they all look okay. And everything else I think is okay in here too, so let's save that. And then let's see, what else could possibly have been referring to like the old Sunsworn faction. Let's just take a quick look through here. Okay. Nothing like super obvious in there. Just going to be checking through here as well. Example character creator. This stuff all looks fine. Like all of this stuff looks okay. I think this stuff's all fine too. It also is example. So the likely thing is like either likely a quest or something. So let's go down into here. Let's look at our achievements. Those all look okay, and those are all like text stuff anyway. There actually aren't references anywhere in those. Let's, I don't know, I guess I might as well just do that dependency check again and see if we got rid of anything. So we'll go to our scenes and we'll just select them all again. And we'll see how many references we managed to get rid of. Yeah, 5 scenes, select dependencies. export package. And then uncheck that box right there. Okay, we still have Sunsworn and we still have Undead. Somehow we're still referencing those, and somehow we're actually even still referencing like Birch Grove stuff. So the Birch Grove stuff comes from a tree. So let's take a look at maybe some of our prefabs. So for example, my example birch tree logging node. Oh yeah, there we go. That makes sense. Okay, good. Okay, and you know what? I feel, yeah, okay, we got the white mullet fish in there. Yeah, I think that might be the issue. I don't know how many of these things. Flax node's okay. Example gathering node also okay. Gathering node 2 okay. Gathering node 3. Let's try the brown mushroom. That's okay. Marshreed's okay. Spotted mushroom's okay. The iron mining node is not, so we want to get rid of that great big rock flat. Okay, so that looks a little better. I don't know if any of these things are... I should just open up all those as well, just to make sure that I don't have anything like other inside of them. No, okay, that looks fine. This is actually example crystal mine entrance, although that's not like a reference to anything, so it's fine. Hit file save because we've changed a bunch of scriptable objects. We have a little piglet. Okay, you know what? Actually, so that little piglet, he came from not the Unity Asset Store. Let's go up and look at the sources page for a second and just check the license on him, because much like the fishing rod, the piglet may have a CC license. Let's just check. License. It is free for personal and commercial use without attribution. Wow, awesome. So that's cool. I like to give attribution anyway, so I'm going to. But that actually means, to be totally honest, that our little piglet here, we don't have to have our spawn node. Just a second, where is it? Spawn prefab. Right. We actually can have him spawn this, and that's pretty cool. So, right on. Thank you CreateZilla and Sketchfab for having nice license information that allows us to redistribute this stuff. You will definitely be credited on the page after I finish putting together this episode. So, okay, that's cool. Now let's go back into, where were we again? We were on like items, I think, in the example. Okay. You know what? Let's just do another dependency check right now for our scenes and see if we manage to get rid of anything else there. Okay, and export package. Yeah, that's better. We're down to 950 now instead of 971. Okay, uncheck include dependencies and weird. We still have references to the Birch Grove cutscene. And the Birch Grove cutscene controller. And we still have references to the skull and the meat somehow. And this royal hit. Okay. So let's see. The skull is a result of an ability called necromancy. And those are over here. We have example necromancy. And example necromancy revive effect. And those are all our sample icons. So, I'm not really sure where those references are coming from. Because if we go SCULL, you know what, let's just, is this the 512? No, that's the 64. That's the 512, yeah. Let's go select dependencies. Maybe we get lucky. Yeah, that's what I thought. No such luck. We're going to have to try to manually figure out where that's coming from. So maybe one of these guys has like a loot table or something. I don't know. Let's go back through the items and yeah, I really don't know where those are coming from. Well, let's just take a look and actually like our example cutscene, for example. Our example cutscene, as an example cutscene camera, if I open this up, that's why. That's really odd. So when I change this, basically, you expect, or you would expect, that this will be bold if it's an overwrite. But right now the UI is showing it to you as normal. However, if we actually go and open the prefab, you can see that it's still pointing to the old one, which is really silly because the UI isn't giving you any indication that that's not what it says it is. Okay, so by putting on the example main camera controller, maybe I'll actually be properly referring to that cutscene animation. let's just select dependencies from this cutscene here, and then go export package, and then uncheck include dependencies, and let's see. We're still using the Birch Grove cutscene nav mesh. I totally don't understand that. Well, let's go into the scene here and look at our environment. See, there's no reason for us to be referencing that nav mesh at all. It just doesn't make sense. So let's delete that folder, because that's usually like where nav mesh type data is stored. And then we just go into the environment cube and go navigation and hit bake. Whoa, yeah, that was interesting. It did. It actually had the hidden nav mesh over top from the Birch Grove cutscene. That was super, super odd. Let's go clear. Interestingly enough, is it cleared? Okay, and let's go bake again. Nothing. Probably because, let's see, this needs to be marked navigation static for the cube. And then we can set it to the layer walkable. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We should be able to bake without that, but now let's try bake. Ah, there we go. Okay, better. So now we're properly baked. Okay. Let's do lighting as well. Okay, good. I think I'm going to allow real time. Let's just try that again. Wait a minute, you know what we don't need here? We don't need fog. Let's try it without the fog. Wow, that takes a long time to generate lighting for a level that like literally has nothing in it but a quad and a couple of balls. Like a really, really exceptionally long time. What's going on here? It looks like it's doing something, I suppose. I mean, it's just sitting there at 5 out of 11, but my CPU is at 54% for this process. Okay. I don't know, like if I go off of this object, it's just gonna like cancel the job. You know, I'm just gonna cancel it because that's like, there's no way it shouldn't be taking that long. At least you wouldn't think so. Not on something with like literally nothing but this simple quad. I'm just gonna cancel that and maybe worry about that later because that's kind of ridiculous. So let's, I don't know, example cutscene, select dependencies again, and then click on export package, uncheck that box. Okay, that's a lot better. Much, much, much better. Okay. So then let's go to the example default scene, and we're just going to select the dependencies for that. This way we can sort of work out like one scene at a time where those other dependencies are coming from. Go to the inspector, 506 objects. Okay, click on export package, uncheck this one. Okay, so crafter free and these old RPG character animations. So it's almost like somebody in my example default scene is still pointing to an animation profile like one of the old ones. Because basically, let's go up into our animation profiles now. Yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll just have a quick look through the scene here. So, like, we blanked out all of their animation profiles. Nobody in here should have any references at all to any animation controllers or animation profiles. Yeah. So let's see. He doesn't. Well, wait, you know what? If I open this guy up, is that like that same thing it was doing before where it's got hidden values inside but it doesn't show you them? No, that looks like it's legitimately okay. So I guess what we want to do then is we'll actually go find that animation profile and we'll click find dependencies in scene, and then maybe it'll tell us. So no, actually that was an animator controller and it was this one right here. So let's find references in scene. Ah, okay. The example UMA vendor has a reference. So let's open this up. Okay. Is it like hard-coded into the dynamic character avatar? Maybe it is. Uh-oh, we're going to create an UMA context now because our scene. Right, okay, yeah. So we're going to have to wait like a minute for Unity to freeze up while it creates an UMA context, and then maybe maybe we won't go slow after that, hopefully. Still waiting. Still waiting. Okay. There it is right there. Race animation controllers. Default animation controller. Okay. We need to set that as well. What's going to be the best way to do that? I think the best way to do that is going to be through the character animator. Because basically, I don't think this works without that value in here. Although, you know what? It might be interesting to see. Like what does happen. Okay, and I think, what was it? It was one of the other example NPCs. If we went into here, found his dynamic. Oh no, you know what? We don't even need that set because I think that it just works fine without it. Maybe. We'll find out. We'll just remove it from everyone. And if they break, then we'll go add some code to automatically add it. Otherwise, I think it may respect the value for whatever animation controller is actually set on that particular character. So, yeah, that actually looks, it looks good because we don't have that set on like the vast majority of our characters. Their dynamic character avatars here have nothing set. Perfect. So I think actually we're okay. So if I go back to this controller and I look at this and I say find references in the scene, I get nothing now. Okay, better. So maybe I won't have references to that anymore. So let's go back down to our example default scene and select dependencies. And export package. Okay. So that's cool because pretty much it looks like we managed to get rid of all those dependencies on that other stuff. Okay, awesome. So basically I just need to go like meet and then figure out where meet is being referenced in this default scene. So meet, find references in scene. Huh, interesting. Okay, let's take a look at example mix-a-lot unit and figure out how he is referencing the meet somehow. I bet you it's this quest right here. There it is. Of course, quests don't need sprites. Like, honestly, we don't use them at all. There's no point in having them on anything. The achievements use icons because they use those stars to let you know they're an achievement, but the actual main quests, nope, no reason for it. Okay, that's a lot better. So now we should be able to go back to our example default scene, select dependencies, export package, uncheck include dependencies. Okay, awesome. We got rid of everything that we don't own. Okay, that's very good news. So now let's do the same for the example combat scene. Select dependencies, export package, uncheck include dependencies. Okay, so this is where we're getting those things from our combat scene. Somehow we're referencing a skull and this, and the Sunsworn. So I guess actually we need to load the example combat scene. So example combat scene, it's going to be like one of Well, I guess we'll find out. So Sunsworn, find references in scene. Skeleton Warrior Spawner actually has a reference to the Sunsworn somehow. Let's take a look at that. So he has an example to the example skeleton warrior unit, and now we're going to freeze up while we create another UMA context. Still waiting. And okay, there we go. So let's open the example skeleton warrior. Uh-oh. No, now we're gonna create another UMA context again. And still waiting for that to happen. And still waiting for that to happen. Okay, there. So let's see where he gets this reference to the Sunsworn from. That's so weird. I don't see any references at all to the Sunsworn on here. So it must be like one of these other items that's somehow referencing the Sunsworn. You know what? Let's lock that. We'll add another inspector and we'll just start looking through these other items here. So the example rune sword. Oh, the example bone shield. The example small glowing crystal. The example of small glowing crystal quest. I don't know, maybe the example condensed greater elemental death. Maybe example greater elemental death. Oh. No, wait a minute. Bag prefab is fine. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's a regular. We don't have an example bag because the bag prefab is just like a UI element. Oh, look at this. Example demonic control and example undead slayer. I think these may be our culprits. Example undead slayer reputation effect. There, undead. Okay. Do you know what? Let's see. This should be example undead. And I think pretty much everywhere where it matters, we have removed this this actual reference. And I actually don't want that thing in there because it sort of breaks our factory pattern anyway. So let's actually go into the code and remove that right now. So the faction modifiers are in the status effect code. Where is it? List of faction dispositions. So that's actually right here. Yeah. Control A, K, F to fix the formatting on that. And yeah, we don't need that anymore. Because basically that's a reference and we don't want it. We want to use a text version and grab that stuff out of our factory. So let's go down here. Okay, so I guess we need to fix a couple things. What is this? Add faction, string, new faction, name, pages, page index, I, list of faction dispositions, right, faction name. That's better. And let's see, do we have any more of those? Oh wow, yeah, all over the place. Okay, we're gonna have to go fix a couple of these. Faction name. Character faction manager, so this is going to be faction name as well. I don't think we need to actually do any of that. Basically, this should be faction name. And that should be new faction. And I'm just going to rename that just to make it a little more clear to new faction name. And hit apply. Yeah, that's better. And then faction disposition dot faction name right there. More stuff right here. So faction disposition dot faction name, and we actually don't even need this real faction here because the only thing we're using it for is the my name, and we can actually grab that directly off the underscore faction dot my name variable, because we're literally just passing the string around from now on. Okay, that looks good. And faction name there as well. And faction name down here as well. And then faction name right there as well. And faction name down here. Okay. And let's see if that compiles now. Couple more here. Faction disposition dot faction name. faction disposition dot faction name, and faction disposition dot faction name, and in that case it's actually reputation save data dot my name, because we're just going to be doing strings there, and add reputation. You know what? Let me just go to that definition there. We only use underscore faction for underscore faction dot my name. So in fact, we can actually change that entirely and just rename that to faction name. Hit apply, get rid of that other thing, and now we can just pass that string directly in. So going back here, this will just become faction disposition dot faction name. And then finally, reward button dot my describable as faction node dot faction name, and we can just pass that string directly in there as well. Okay, good. Now that compiled, and that was actually a little bit of a change. So now it's time to go in and commit that to Git. Disposition to use string. Okay, good. So then the next thing that we need to do here is, I think demonic control was another one of these things. Example demonic control, and I think example demonic control, where's my inspector? There it is. Yeah, there we go. Example sun sworn faction effect. And oh, okay, cool. Because of the fact that I removed the actual faction and I'm just using the faction name now, this will theoretically no longer refer to that sun sworn icon. So let's go back now to our example combat scene. Close out this other inspector tab, we'll unlock that one again, and we can go select dependencies now on that. Right click, export package. Okay. Somehow we are still referring to that stuff. I thought we fixed all that. Okay. Maybe there was another unit in that scene that was referring to something. let's look at the items. No, you know what? Okay, we're just going to save this and then let's see if we can find that again. So if I look at sun sworn right here and I just go find references in scene, very interesting, I get nothing now. Okay. Yet it just told us that the sun sworn had a reference in the scene, but now it can't find it. So yeah, good job there. Undead, let's see if I find the undead faction right here and I go find references in scene. Once again, it just told us it was in there, but good job, it can't find it. So what's going on? Why can't it find it? Okay. Yeah, I have really no idea why it can't find it. So our skeleton warrior spawner spawns a skeleton warrior. Who drops a bunch of stuff. Like our bone staff. Let's see, example demonic control. If I look at that, I get example sunsworn faction effect, which doesn't have anything other than a text, which means it's impossible for that to somehow be giving us a reference. And the skeleton warrior unit is like really the only thing that can drop anything that could potentially have a reference to that other stuff. And if I look at the example runehammer, I get example necromancy. An example necromancy gives you example necromancy revive effect, which gives you example player control effect, which doesn't have any references. So yeah, still a little confused as to where that's coming from. And these skeleton multi-spawners here, like that all looks okay. And if we go into these units right here, like there's no references to anything. So where, oh where are those references coming from? Let's go back into example combat scene there and check again. Select dependencies. And export package. Okay, well that's interesting because basically we did absolutely nothing between now and the last time, really, and suddenly it recognizes that undead isn't a dependency. Okay, well, let's look at s underscore royal hit. What's interesting here actually is something is definitely referencing the Sunsworn, because the s royal hit is actually like the Sunsworn logo. So what is still referencing the Sunsworn? Because it tells us, hey, yeah, this is a dependency. So great, find it for me. Oh, no, we can't find it. It's not there. Well, how can it be a dependency if you can't find it? And if you were able to tell me it was a dependency, then why can't you suddenly now? That's a little bit confusing sort of UI design there. And like, where in the world would that Sunsworn be coming from? Maybe if I just go Sunsworn, let's just look at Sunsworn. If I go select dependencies, then no, that's actually pretty useless as well. Because none of these things really tell me, like, none of these exist in our example combat scene either. So what could it be? We have like teleport example default scene. I don't see anything in there that could be a reference to it. We've got these example angry reanimated bunny units. And like they drop example leather, but that isn't gonna really link back to anything. Let's see, we have an example zombie attack spawner with an example zombie unit, but he doesn't have anything realistically that should be able to link us back to the Sunsworn at all. And then like we've got this skeleton goblin pair, which has a skeleton multi-spawner, which has a reference to a skeleton slayer. And he doesn't look like he's got any references to anything which could link us back there. And then, I don't know, let's take a look at the Earthborn Troll. Example Earthborn Troll unit. There's literally almost no references in him as well. Gold, silver. Okay. Example Night Spawner. Example Knight of the Cheddar Table unit. I don't know, maybe. No, nothing in there. He's like literally like just empty of any references. Shoot, I think opening that up is gonna freeze the, yeah, Unity's gonna freeze up again while it creates a UMA editor context. So I really don't get it, like what in the world in this scene is referring back to the Sunsworn. Maybe it's the ability you learn from the mace, but I swear that's like let's, I guess we have to wait until we're done. Unity is done freezing up, because it just loves to freeze up when it creates these UMA editor contexts. Still waiting. Still waiting. It's crazy the amount of time that takes. Still waiting. Wow, still waiting. Yep, nope, nothing happening yet. Wow. Still waiting. Still can't click on anything. Like the whole thing is like completely frozen. Maybe it's doing something. 14%, that's not a particularly lot of CPU usage. Still can't click on that. Like, I feel like it's actually like completely frozen, but I know it's not. Like, I know like this UMA stuff. Like, the only way we should ever be able to get this editor completely frozen is if we're inside like some kind of infinite while loop inside a game. It should never be able to happen when we're just wandering around in the inspector here doing like normal stuff. Let's see, do we have any memory usage? No, it's like, it's literally, it's doing nothing. What are you doing, Unity? 30% CPU usage, not telling me a thing, not letting me do anything in the UI. I feel like I want to like close this thing right now, but I honestly think, I don't remember if I might have made some changes to like scriptable objects since the last time I saved, and if I close it, it's gonna delete all the changes that I made, so that's not good. I don't really understand why it doesn't auto-save those types of changes. It just seems like the more logical thing to do. It seems like the use case where people would run into most of the time is the use case where they would prefer to have that stuff saved and not deleted when Unity crashes, just because Unity tends to crash probably more often, and then people tend to accidentally not want stuff saved. What's going on? Oh yeah, right on, we're back. Okay. Wow, that was like a 3-minute freeze up for that UMA context. Let's see, example rune hammer. I feel like this particular item is probably the issue right here. Learned abilities. We learn example necromancy, but I've looked through that like 100 times. It just doesn't make any sense. So, example one-handed sword definitely wouldn't be it. Let's go back and look at example necromancy again. That brings us to example necromancy revive effect, which brings us to example. Wait. No, you know what? It's the on-hit ability. Where is that rune hammer again? Example rune hammer. Oh, crazy, no. No, it's the bone staff. The example bone staff has an on-hit ability. Example demonic control. weird. Okay, that's just example sunsworn status effect, which once again has zero references to anything. That's just a text reference. So we're like totally just back to square one here, where our editor is telling us, hey, we've got a dependency here, but then making it like 100% impossible to actually find. So I don't know, let's go file save again and go back to our example combat scene, and maybe it's changed its mind now. And maybe if we hit select dependencies, we'll get a different answer, because last time we literally did like almost nothing and got rid of the one. So let's try export package again. No, we still have a reference to the sunsworn in that scene somewhere. Okay. Well, I suppose, like, it's starting to sort of get desperate here. If we select the Goblin Necromancer, can we select his dependencies? Example Goblin Necromancer spawner. Example Goblin Necromancer. Oh no. We're gonna freeze up for Uma again. Man, you know what this kind of sucks. I think what I'm going to need to do is just like pull the game manager into this scene so it quits doing this whole like freeze up thing, because it's super obnoxious how long it causes Unity to freeze up for while it creates that UMA context. Yep, okay, so maybe we're just gonna like sit here and wait for like 3 minutes again. Still waiting. I was gonna literally just start like deleting units one at a time until there was finally just the one unit left in the scene that was giving us our reference to that Sunsworn faction. Because I honestly, like at this point, I can't think of anything else. Unity is doing an absolutely tremendously terrible job of finding that reference for us, even though apparently it can find the reference for us, but only that one way. And there's like, we can't get back to that reference or figure out how it found it, because it'll just tell us that the dependency is there, but it won't tell us how it's there. And it's failing really badly at doing that. And it's just failing really badly at a lot of stuff right now, because, I mean, it's ridiculous that any particular piece of software like this can just freeze up and stop accepting user input for like 3 minutes while it's sitting there literally doing almost nothing, taking up like almost no CPU. Although, you know what, I suppose if we go into performance and we go to CPU and we go to resource monitor, we probably notice that like one of our CPU cores is completely pinned at 100%. Yeah, okay, that's why we're only showing 15. It's like 15 overall, but out of 8 cores, one of our cores is pinned at 100%. Doing God only knows what. Unity editor not respawning. Yeah, no kidding. I really can't imagine what's going on inside of the UMA code right now. That it needs to spin up a CPU to 100% for 3 minutes to create an UMA context. Like, because I mean, when I drag the UMA DCS into the scene, that drag is going to take literally like 1 second, half a second, even less, and it doesn't take 3 minutes. Wow, I think it's actually going on more than 3 minutes right now. come on Uma, come on Unity, you can do it. You can do it. There's no reason for this. Well, I'm sure there's a reason, but whatever it is, it's a terrible reason. Okay, we're still frozen, still waiting. Still frozen, still waiting. I totally feel like this is a waste of time streaming all these waits, but then again, I think maybe somebody out there is having the same problem as me about trying to find references that Unity tells you it has, but then refuses to find when you try to use any select to figure out how they're referenced. So let's start by just grabbing the UMA DCS, and we have a copy of the UMA DCS right here, and we're just going to pull that into the scene, and then now hopefully this scene will not freeze up anymore. I'm going to make a copy of the example combat scene. I am going to name that example combat scene debug, because we get to debug Unity's terrible behavior here. And let's see, most goblin battle, delete those guys, and select dependencies for this scene, and export package. Okay, we still have Sunsworn, so that didn't fix it. Mine spawners, delete those guys. Go back into our debug scene, and oh, you know what? I think we might have to save it. Okay, select dependencies. Okay, export package. Still got the Sunsworn. All right, take the portal out. Save it. Go back into the combat scene and select dependencies. Export package. I'm just 214. From now on, that's the number. If we don't go less than 214, we didn't fix it. Okay. Angry reanimated bunny unit spawners. File save. Go back in. Example combat scene. Debug. Select dependencies. Still 214. Zombie attack spawners. Go in, close those, file save, go back to our debug scene, right click on it, select dependencies again. Still 214. Okay, cemetery spawner as well. I'm just going to delete our goblin or skeleton warrior spawner because I really don't understand where we're getting that reference from. Select dependencies. Okay, it's not coming from him. Interesting. All right. We still have 214 objects as dependencies, and if we go export package, we still have the Sunsworn. So where is it coming from? Is it our example Goblin Ranger unit? I just don't see. Okay. Let's get rid of all the skeleton goblin pairs. Save that. Where are we here? back to our combat scene. Select dependencies. Still 214 objects. Okay. Export package. We still have a reference to the Sunsworn, so it's our skeleton multi-spawner, I guess. So fine, save that, go back to our example combat scene, select dependencies, see if it was one of the other skeleton multi-spawners. You just never know. Nope, still 214. Okay, so it's one of these units, I guess. Okay, maybe I'm just going to pull all three of those units in here manually. We have the skeleton soldier, the skeleton slayer, and the example zombie unit. We're going to pull all of them in there. We're going to delete the spawner and hit save and see if it was one of these units that had the reference. Select dependencies. Still 214 objects. And still the Sunsworn. Okay. What happens when we delete? Let's just take a look at the skeleton soldier. Like, I really feel like it's this example condensed lesser elemental death thing here, but these don't have references to anything. It's impossible. Hmm. Okay. Example silver, example restore mana, example health potion, example restore health. Yeah, nothing anywhere in there. Okay, well, I guess it's time to start deleting units. Let's see which one, if any, have a reference. So we can go to example combat scene debug here and yeah, select dependencies. And wow, we still have 214 objects. Export package. Okay, fine, delete the skeleton slayer unit and hit save. And try it again, select dependencies. And export package. Hmm. Yeah, wow, I really don't know how how we're getting back there. Okay, fine. So I'm gonna delete the last unit in there. Oh, you know what? Okay, if I go to example combat scene debug here, and I go select dependencies. Now I have removed like all of the units from it. It shouldn't be possible that I still have 214 objects. Wow. So somehow, like this scene, even though it's completely empty, somehow has references to a bunch of other stuff that it shouldn't. So I don't know what to do here. Let's see. Maybe I have to generate lighting for this scene. I'm not going to allow real time. I'm just going to hit generate lighting like that. Okay. And maybe I've got to bake an avmesh in this scene. So clear and rebake. Okay, and let's save the scene now. So what happens now when I go select dependencies? Oh, 37 objects. Well, great. That kind of sucks because basically, like, my entire test right there was entirely useless because it probably literally had like nothing to do with the units at all. At least not those other units. Okay, so let's go back to here, select dependencies again, and see if we get 74 objects that time. Okay, and if I go export package, do I get any of that other stuff? No, I don't. Okay, so like I'm basically like almost have to completely start that silly test over again. Bringing back all those units I deleted because it was actually like lighting or navigation data that was referring back to the other example scene that was then somehow linking back to all that other stuff that it claims we still have references to. Oh man, so go into example combat scene. Hmm. Okay, combat scene debug has a bunch more stuff in it. So let's select dependencies for that. 111 objects, okay. And we still haven't managed to get those other ones back, so we just gotta keep on Control Z. And okay, skeleton warrior spawner, let's try it now. Because this skeleton warrior did have some items that referred to stuff. Okay, so example combat scene debug, select dependencies. 184. Let's see if I export package. Yeah, we get the Sunsworn. So it's like it is coming from that skeleton warrior, isn't it? Let's just delete all that stuff and delete that, and then hit save, and then go back there, and then select dependencies again. Yeah, the skeleton warrior spawner is the culprit. Definitely. Let's go over to the example skeleton warrior unit and just hit select dependencies. And if we export package on this. Yeah, he somehow has a reference to the Sunsworn. But what is it through? Well, he has a rune sword, a bone shield, and a small glowing thingamajig. So, rune sword, fine, select dependencies. No references to the Sunsworn. Okay. How do I clear that? Can I clear selection? I can't really, apparently not. Okay. So if I go rune hammer and select dependencies, I get 33, but not Sunsworn. Okay. If I go bone shield, and select dependencies, do I get it? Nope. Okay. How about bone staff and select dependencies? Okay. So, like one of these things. This makes no sense because this is text. This is not the Sunsworn. This is text. A reference to something with text. No references in here. More references to stuff with text. Wow, what in the world is it? Okay, so fine. Example gold, select dependencies. Nope, okay. Example bone staff. Example undead slayer. Select dependencies. Nope, okay. It wasn't the undead slayer. Example human staff attacks, select dependencies. Narrow the selection. Like a monoscript? I don't know. Okay, yeah, no, don't think it was that. Example demonic control? Select dependencies? Wow, okay. It was example demonic control. Now how the heck is that referencing it? Because this example Sunsworn faction effect, it's text. It can't reference anything. It's just text. Like, is it? That's so strange. Okay, just a second here. Now, if I change this to example Sunsworn, is it like going into the status effect and basically, like, that's messed up because it shouldn't be capable of detecting. I wonder if this has to do with serialized objects. I bet you when we removed this okay, yeah, it totally makes no sense, but I think I know what might be happening here. This is like the oddest, strangest thing, and I'm totally, I think, going to add this to my Unityisms list of things that Unity does that are really confusing. um, when we removed the faction, we had the reference to a faction, the Sunsworn, in this list. We deleted the serialized property, but I think Unity still stores the information potentially about previous serialized properties on this item. That kind of seems like what's happening here, because if I go select dependencies on my bone staff now, guess what we don't see? Sunsworn, right? And if I go back onto that weapon and I go example bone staff and I go back to example demonic control and I go back to example sunsworn faction effect, and I'm willing to bet that if I change this back to sunsworn and I hit file save, and then let's go back to the bone staff and hit select dependencies, I still don't have the sunsworn. So that is exactly what happened. Okay, yeah, that's totally going on my Unityisms list. Unityisms is like, I have like 12 of them now, and they're things you need to watch out for in Unity, because you'll do something and you'll be like I just was, where you're like, whoa, what happened? Like, I deleted that. Why do I still have a reference to it? That's completely illogical that it hung around onto that. And what happened here is, like, just plain saving wasn't enough. I actually had to literally make a change to this prefab right here, and then resave, like, just this scriptable object in order to actually get rid of the reference. So that's like just really terrible behavior, because I mean, like, just looking at the time on my stream right now, I literally spent 40 minutes trying to figure out that Unity had hidden a reference inside an object and not showed it to me. Like, just total waste of time there. So okay, now hopefully with that out of the way, we're not going to be like banging our head against the wall trying to figure out, like, where is this stuff coming from. So let's go back to the regular combat scene. Now that we've figured out where all that stuff was coming from, we have 210 instead of 214. And if we go export package, look at that. No more references to weird stuff. Okay, wow, that was quite the thing to try to figure out there. So that's good. We've got scripts, we've got example prefabs. Okay, so now I'm going to go into my example combat scene. Now I can delete my combat scene debug, delete that, and then let's try our massive dependency list again. Okay, and close up all this stuff to clean up our list. And then where are we here? We want scenes, actually. There we go, main menu. 5 scenes, these are the ones we want. Select the dependencies for all those. All right, and export package. Okay, good. That's a little better. We still should not have any of these. So we're going to have to find where those references are coming from. basically they're coming from this right here. So what I need to do is I need to figure out let's see basically which items in these scenes are referencing this old animation controller, because I thought that I removed all the references, but who knows, maybe this is another one of those Unity things where it's decided to just hide a reference and not let you know about it. So we will look for AnyRPG animation. Did I spell that wrong? Yeah. Okay. Fine, I'll just go like look for it manually then. Oh, character animation controller. Okay. Select dependencies. Okay, that's these are all animations. So it looks like we're gonna have to play the game again. The game of try to find the hidden dependencies, because this is not making a reference to anything that's in our scene. So let's see if we can figure out which scene those are coming from. So if I go to the combat scene, select dependencies, and then I go to export package, let me just see if it's grabbing those animations. No, interesting, it is not. Okay. And if I go to the cutscene and go select dependencies, it's not finding them. And if I go to the default scene and select dependencies, and go export package, okay, no, it's not coming from there. Is it coming from the load game manager? Yes, it is coming from the load game manager. Okay. So we're just going to get rid of the Zuma DCS from the example combat scene. We'll save it, and we'll go into the example load game manager, which has our example game manager. So let's see. I don't have a lot of faith that this is going to work, but where's the crafting free and the RPG character? Okay, so we have RPG character. Unarmed jump, and let's try find references in scene. Yeah, no, of course not. So, okay, let's see. If we select dependencies, example load game manager, need to look for one of the, this one right here, RPG character unarmed attack R2. And we go find references in scene. And of course it's not going to find it. So we get to play the silly Unity game again of why is Unity telling us this is a dependency, but then not finding it in the scene. So yeah, let's see, what can we try to look at? Default Duma player unit. And if we look at the default Duma player unit, there we go. So that's none. And we hit save. And then let's just go to the player connection and just look. Nothing in there. Alright, so let's go back to the example load game manager, select dependencies, right click on that, export package, uncheck that to clean it up. Ooh, that did it. Yeah, okay, good. Perfect. So, the only thing that's left to do basically is fix up our default animations on our animation controller and replace them all with the open source ones. So if we go into our animation controller, we'll just get rid of this test one here, we don't need it. And basically if we open this up, I'm going to pull it out here. So this unarmed death, we want to change this to AnyRPG example death fall. And stunned, we want to change that to AnyRPG example stunned. This AnyRPG default attack is, I think, the right one. Nope. We actually want that to be okay, so our default attack right now, I'm just gonna delete that. No, I'm not, apparently, because I have to go in there to delete it. So what we want to do is we want our default attack to actually be coming from one of the open source attacks. So we'll go into our, where are we here? Animation Engine. Let's see, it's actually coming from this mocap animation here. Unused external content, mocap animations, and we look at AnyRPG and look just in the mocap animations directory. And let's see, I think we have a left reverse punch here. Perfect. So we're going to take the left reverse punch, we're going to make basically a copy of it, so 1430 to 1458. And let's see, we also have body orientation and original checked. So body orientation and original, and we're just going to rename that to AnyRPG default attack. And hit apply. That's such a silly attack. Okay, good enough though. So then basically we want to go back into our controller here, unarmed attack, and this is going to be default attack. And the reason we keep the name the same is because we're actually going to look for that by name later on. AnyRPG magic slow casting can get swapped out for example star cast. Let's see. Spellcasting loop 1 second. Sure. We'll try that. We don't have levitated. I'm just going to replace that with stunned for now. Actually, you know what? We'll replace levitated with our falling animation. I don't think I got a revive animation, so I'm going to have to look for that in combat jump. Okay, so this will have to be example jump. We'll just delete that because we're not using it. And example fall. Example land. And then go up to the base layer. In combat idle. Awesome. We've got this nice combat idle 2 loop. Out of combat jump. Let's do jump 2. I actually just want them so I can kind of compare them. And this is going to be fall 2. This is going to be land 2. And that pretty much out of combat idle. This is, okay, that's a blend tree. So let's go look at that blend tree. Idle neutral we own. Oh, you know what? Out of combat we own all those, I think. Yes, we do. So that's good. Let's just look at this blend tree and just make sure. Yes, we own all those as well, because those are all from the raw mocap data. So it's basically just the in-combat movements that are left. And so we just need to swap those out. I'm going to use combat idle 2. This one. Yeah, that's straightforward. Okay. So this can be, basically we're just going to do the regular motions. Right, the regular motions. So I think that's just AnyRPG walk forward. And I think this is just AnyRPG walk move forward fast, maybe. You know what? Let's go look at the other out of combat movement. I just want to see which ones we're using for those. Walk forward, walk backward, jog forward. Okay. So basically, go back up to our base layer in combat movement. Okay, so where's the blend tree? There we go. So that's walk forward. This is going to be, I think, jog forward. And this is going to be strafe forward left. Walk strafe forward left. This will be walk strafe forward right. This will be just walk back. This will be walk strafe back left. This will be walk strafe back right. This will be walk strafe left. This will be walk strafe right. Okay, good. And that should replace basically all the motions in our tree there with ones that we own. So let's go up to the base layer now, and the very last thing I need to do is a revive. So really quickly, we'll just go find a revive animation here. So in the mocap animations, there's actually get up from floor. We have actually like get up from lying down on back. Yeah, get up from ground, laying on back. Okay, I think we're gonna need to maybe look for something a little better than that. Okay, so let's take a look at these. Yeah, that's terrible. These are like all really bad. Let's try 113. Hey, you know what? That's way better. Yeah, these 113 ones are way better. Okay, so the 113, let's see, getting up from laying down. No, you know what? That is like by far the best one because it doesn't look messed up at all. It's almost the same position we died in, although I think when we died our hands were above our head. So yeah, darn, these ones suck. They're like, I don't know what's up with the character sort of going through the ground like that. arm thing. That totally looks odd. These are all getting up from chairs. That looks odd as well. Yeah, I think it's going to be this one. So basically, we'll make a copy of that. I know that in our like our live animation, oops, no, we're not looping that. I know that in our live animation, our hands start above our head. I don't care. We don't really have anything much better than this right now, so he'll magically have his hands down by his side. And we get up. There, perfect. Okay. So that's good. Apply that, and let's check. He gets up. He gets up. Good enough. All right. I think that'll do. So we're going to call that AnyRPG example get up. It's not really a resurrection animation. And then we can go into our controller here and revive and AnyRPG example get up. Okay, good. So save that, and then let's look at that animator controller. And now we're gonna select dependencies, and we're gonna click on export package. Okay, good. So we are only using, perfect, we're only using animations that come from the stuff we own. These ones came from the raw mocap data and then the huge mocap library. Awesome. So let's do another dependency test. First though, I think we're getting on 2.5 hours here. So I think I'm just going to end the stream now. We'll start up another stream, make like a part 2 of this Unity package cleanup, and I think my title is actually even missing the word cleanup. So yeah, we'll end this stream and we'll start another one and continue on with our dependency dependency treasure hunt basically, and then a little more cleanup on these things. So as always, thanks for watching. If you like this type of content and you would like to see more of it in the future, then don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the Cohesion YouTube channel, or just leave a note in the comments letting me know what you'd like to see. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.